Streaming live across the country, tackling the topics everyone is talking about online. Share, engage, and interact. This is Newsfeed Now.
Hey guys, hope you're having a great start to your Thursday. It is October 8th, the day after the only vice presidential debate this election season. If you tuned in last night, you're probably needing that extra cup of coffee. I know I needed one this morning. Glad to have you with us here on Newsfeed Now. I'm Suzanne Bruner. If you're familiar with our online show, we talk about what everyone is basically talking about online, all in one spot. And of course, one thing creating a buzz on our news feeds was a moment that was literally buzzing on the debate stage last night. We're going to take a look at that in just a couple of minutes. But first, if you compare the VP debate to the presidential debate last week, many noticed it was certainly more civil. However, Vice President Mike Pence and Senator Kamala Harris still had many disagreements. We have Chip Yost reporting from Salt Lake City with a recap.
Whatever the vice president is claiming the administration has done, clearly it hasn't worked. When you're looking at over 210,000 dead bodies in our country, American lives.
When you say what the American people have done over these last 8 months hasn't worked, that's a great disservice to the sacrifices the American people have made.
Separated by a distance of more than 12 feet and with plexiglass barriers between them, Senator Kamala Harris and Vice President Mike Pence sparred not only over the initial handling of the pandemic, but also over some of the ongoing efforts to end it.
If the Trump administration approves a vaccine before or after the election, should Americans take it, and would you take it?
If the public health professionals, if Dr. Fauci, if the doctors tell us that we should take it, I'll be the first in line to take it. Absolutely. But if Donald Trump tells us that we should take it, I'm not taking it.
The fact that you continue to undermine public confidence in a vaccine, if the vaccine emerges during the Trump administration, I think is unconscionable. And Senator, I just ask you, stop playing politics with people's lives.
The two also debated traditional topics, including what to do with the open Supreme Court seat and taxes.
Of course, much more was said on the table out there. Let's talk to Chip more about last night's debate. Good to see you. He's joining us from Salt Lake City. A lot was said and a lot of people taking online to social media. Who do you think was the winner here? Maybe the fly?
Wait, I don't have a fly on my head right now, do I?
No, not right now.
The funny thing is, this is an embarrassing admission, I guess, given everyone's talking about it. I didn't see the fly. I was, here reporting on the debate. I'm watching the debate, but at the same time, I'm watching, listening, typing when I hear something good, because we've got to turn, a quick story afterwards. So watching, listening, typing, watching. All of a sudden, I start seeing dings on my Twitter, people talking about the fly.
When you wake
and
up
I
as
look
early
over, and I'm like, what? And I guess the fly was.
When you wake up as early as we do,
I
that's
guess
the
the
first thing
fly
you
was
see
gone by the time I looked over.
on social media. No, for sure. But in all seriousness, talk about some of the big takeaways from last night's debate.
Well, I think that both candidates were able to get, they were very rehearsed on their talking points. You saw that, and I think the American public are used to that in debates now. A lot of different debates where the moderator will ask a question and the candidate just goes to what they want to talk about. So you could tell they had some things they wanted to get across. They did. Mike Pence really wanted to talk about fracking and his belief that Biden-Harris administration would ban fracking. Harris, on the other hand, really wanted to go after Donald Trump and Mike Pence about their handling of the coronavirus and took every opportunity she could. So I think they really kind of got, the punches in they wanted to get. In the end, I don't think either one really came out, too terribly bruised. And interestingly, one of the things people ask is, well, you did, what about the undecided voter, right?
Right.
I talked to a professor of political science at UC Irvine before I left California. And we're just talking about this debate, how it could impact it. A lot of people were saying this debate, could be one of the most important vice presidential debates in history, given some things that have happened in the last week with President Trump going to the hospital with COVID-19, given the ages of both candidates. People are saying this could be one where people are really looking at it differently. However, the flip side of that, according to this UC Irvine professor, is that he believes from some of the polls and different things he's been reading, we could have the lowest number of, or lowest percentage of undecided voters in recent history. Like, most of the people, and you can think about it, we're a divided country. It's very obvious, people have picked a side, or a lot of people have picked a side. How many undecided voters are actually out there, I think is the big question.
Absolutely. You take a look at what's going on this year, a lot of things that our country has faced. When you compare to what people watched last week compared to this week, you can definitely tell the difference and the ambiance online, that is. Do you think that this debate maybe helped those undecided voters just a little bit?
Maybe, but it's one of those things. I think that a lot of times, they're kind of preaching to the choir. The people have already decided, hear what they want to hear, and it's funny. We'll kind of try to report straight down the middle, but you'll hear some people say, "Oh, you were biased to one side, you're biased to that side," because maybe we didn't go too strongly for their candidate. Right. So it's but there, I still believe there are undecided voters out there. Because I know some personally who say, well, I really don't like this one, I think I'm going to vote for that one. They're not in love with either candidate, and so they're still kind of going back and forth with which one they'll kind of hold their nose and vote for.
All right, Chip, thanks so much. Of course, we've got several weeks until Election Day, but we want to talk about some breaking news right now. President Trump says he's not going to do a virtual debate with Joe Biden. That was supposed to happen next week. He told Fox Business that this morning, shortly after the Commission on Presidential Debates decided to move forward with a virtual debate again next week. It made the decision because of growing concerns about President Trump's COVID diagnosis. Trump's campaign manager, Bill Stepien, also released a statement today. He called the commission's decision pathetic. Yesterday, President Trump called his COVID-19 infection a blessing from God as he returned to the Oval Office, despite concerns he should be self-isolating. Now, the president tested positive for COVID-19 last week and is still under treatment. Kelly Meyer has been following the story from Washington. She's joining us now to talk a little more about this. And Kelly, if the president says he's not wanting to do a virtual debate next week, will there even be a debate?
Yeah, and that's the big question right now. Of course, he said that this morning in his first interview since contracting the coronavirus, and still has the coronavirus, but the debate is now less than a week away. And obviously the commission is trying to put this in place to protect everybody involved and keep everybody safe. But if the president himself isn't going to participate, who is one of the people you need to be involved in this, whether this can go forward is the big question at the moment, and I think that we're all digging into. Maybe a next step is they just postpone this and wait until they both can meet in person, and if that means that there will be one less debate that the American people will have before Election Day, or is there a way to convince him to participate in this? But he had said he wasn't going to sit at a computer and debate, calling that, quote, ridiculous. So we're really in this moment right now where we don't know exactly where this is going to go, but we only have a few days to figure it out.
Absolutely. And Kelly, real quick, so Bill Stepien, he also mentioned something about potentially having a rally. Could that happen? Do we know any more about that?
I know the president is obviously very ready to get back on the campaign trail. It's what he loves to do, is to be out there with people. Mm-hmm. But after contracting this, we just don't know. But we know that he ended up in the Oval Office just yesterday to get briefed on stimulus and the hurricane. So he is trying to get back at work. He doesn't, like he said, want to be stuck at a computer. Very in stark contrast to what the Biden campaign is doing, where very much most of that is either done virtually or in very social distance settings, very different from what the president's campaign rallies look like.
Okay, and then another thing, the final debate is set for Thursday, October 22nd. Is that also in question?
At this point, I think they're just trying to figure out what's going to happen with this next one. But I think that obviously gives enough time for the president to have his quarantine and get cleared. Mm-hmm. But there is this massive outbreak we're facing at the White House right now. So many more people are testing positive. We're hearing more and more each day. So how they contain that and get that under control, I think, is the first thing that has to happen before they commit to any other debates or being in person with anybody else.
All right, Kelly Meyer, thanks so much for joining us from Washington. We're going to turn our eyes now to the tropics, where Hurricane Delta is gaining strength in the Gulf. It slammed Mexico. It's now heading towards the Gulf Coast. We have Chelsea Beimfor, who spoke with a Tennessee family who saw the storm firsthand while vacationing at a Cancun resort.
We're pretty much stuck when we're supposed to be having fun. We came here, we did check the weather before there was Hurricane Gamma, but that one we skipped. Like, we knew we were coming right after it. We had no idea about this one, though.
Murfreesboro resident Maha Shalaby and her family are sheltering from Hurricane Delta tonight in Playa del Carmen. That's about an hour from the Cancun resort they were vacationing in this week.
We woke up, they sent us papers, and they're like, you must evacuate. They sent buses later on. They put us on buses and gave us packed food, and they're like, this is going to last you for tonight and tomorrow morning.
The family of 5 packed up Tuesday afternoon and headed away from the coast along with dozens of other tourists. The storm started rolling in later that night.
We could hear it getting intense. We could hear the wind and the rains.
Today, the Middle Tennessee family sent News 2 these photos and videos of the damage once the skies cleared.
It is definitely different than all the hurricanes I've witnessed, honestly, because just how the nature here is. A lot of palm trees and coconut trees, and so that is all over the place. It's a big wreck.
Shalaby's family is safe, but they aren't sure when they'll be able to get back to their hotel.
We're trying to contact the resort. They're not answering here. No one is picking up. We're trying to even try to run somewhere else because we're not very comfortable here. We're just trying to get out of here. That's it.
Wow, and best of luck to them. Obviously, a lot of people impacted out there. Wishing the best of luck to everybody involved. But we want to bring in meteorologist Thomas G-Boy right now from Mobile, Alabama. Good to see you, Thomas. I'm looking at the Hurricane Delta's track right now, and it looks like it could make landfall close to where Laura did.
Yeah, unfortunately, it might make landfall very close to where Laura did earlier this morning. If you were to take the center line for the forecast track for Hurricane Delta and you compare that to the line where Hurricane Laura moved over, it's about a 15 to 20 mile difference. And Hurricane Laura, a major Category 4 hurricane, and you could add Hurricane Delta on top of that. Now, Delta is probably not going to make landfall as strong of a storm, but it's still going to be a significant one. It's currently a Category 2 storm, and as we look at the satellite presentation, it looks like it's in the process of developing its eye and clearing out the eye, which signifies that this is still a storm that's strengthening now, has winds of 105 miles per hour, and throughout the morning we have seen steady strengthening, and that forecast is expected to continue, possibly becoming a major hurricane once again by early tomorrow morning. We are expecting some weakening right before landfall. It's going to run up on some wind shear and some cooler water temperature, so hopefully that does weaken the storm, but it still could very well make landfall as a strong Category 2 or a Category 3 storm. So that possibility still out there, and a landfall is still looking most likely in southwestern Louisiana at some point tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow evening. From there, it's going to continue to work its way to the north, impacting most of the state of Louisiana before fizzling away heading into this weekend. But the fact remains that this is going to be a significant hurricane in an area that just dealt with a significant and major hurricane about a month and a half ago from Hurricane Laura.
What are some preparations going on along the coastline right now?
Well, a lot of the coastline, especially in Louisiana, a lot of evacuation orders have been issued. In our area in the central Gulf Coast, a lot of the impacts that we're going to see are going to be a lot less in areas to the west. So our preparation's not nearly as much as areas to the west. But you look at south central Louisiana, southwestern Louisiana, there are hurricane warnings in place. So the emergency managers have been reaching out to their local municipalities and telling them, if you're in the path of this storm, you basically need to make sure that you're prepared, because by tonight, that's really the last opportunity that you're going to have to prepare before Hurricane Delta moves ashore.
All right, Thomas, we appreciate your time. Thanks for keeping us updated on this developing story. Kentucky's Attorney General will not allow any anonymous grand juror to speak freely about the Breonna Taylor case. He argues that the proceedings and testimony before a grand jury should remain secret under the law. He said allowing the juror to talk about it would set a dangerous precedent for future grand jury proceedings. Just last week, the AG released audio recordings from the grand jury. The only charge he recommended was wanton endangerment. Tough news for moviegoers, especially if you love the icy machine and the buttery popcorn, because as of today, all Regal movie theaters are temporarily closed. I'm sorry to tell you that. The company made the decision after the release for the next Bond movie, No Time to Die, when that was pushed from November 20th to April 2nd. So you just have to wait a little longer. You still got Netflix, still got Prime, HBO, whatever streaming device you have. Well, if you're like me and you still have that iPhone 5, yes, I've had it for 7 years now. The screen is as big as, like, I don't know, the screen of the new phones. But anyways, It's time for an upgrade because Apple has finally set a date for the debut of its latest iPhone. It's iPhone 12. Yeah, we've made it that far. iPhone 12 is expected to be shown during an online event October 13th. Sources say it will have high-speed 5G connectivity, as well as a new camera and a boxier iPad-inspired design. Production of the 12 has been delayed, as you can imagine, because of the pandemic and some travel restrictions. So, new phone for you. Before we go, in St. Louis, Missouri, there's a guy named Mike. Mike is the cookie man with a cookie plan. Warm, delicious cookies from a vending machine. It's pretty genius. He calls his company Alibi Cookies, and he swears by this creation. Take a look.
Mike Evans is the cookie man with a cookie plan. Warm, delicious cookies from a vending machine. He calls his company Alibi Cookies, and he swears by this creation filled with pumpkin spice, chocolate chunk, oatmeal raisin, and more.
I was scrolling on Facebook at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I came across a post of Japan, and they had a building that was filled with vending machines, and you can get absolutely anything out of these vending machines. It was absolutely crazy. And I love cookies. I love cookies. And so I was thinking like, that's a decent idea. We put some cookies in a vending machine, and let's keep them warm.
Yes, it's pretty neat. We've been working on this patio for a bit, and I think we've had it for about a little over a week now, and it's been fun. I've definitely had my fair share more of cookies than I'd like to admit, but yeah, it's been very nice.
Coin-operated vending machines have been around since the late 19th century. These days, coins, cash, or a credit card can get you anything from lottery tickets to a pack of gum. Why St. Louis Lambert International Airport got creative with a St. Louis sweet treat, installing Ted Drew's frozen custard in vending machines along the concourse. But this businessman and baker with experience in the restaurant industry has mixed together all the ingredients that he claims is the first of its kind in the United States. And it's COVID-friendly.
But the whole individually wrapped love is what I call it. It kind of works out perfectly in the climate that we're in now.
Evans says his homemade Alibi cookies, each individually wrapped, have landed at Tam Avenue Bar in Dogtown. Wednesday afternoon, as work is being done to expand their outdoor patio, the Cookie Bot was the next logical addition.
I'm a small business. I'm a small black-owned business. I just want everyone's support. I want everybody to have delicious cookies also. So who doesn't like a cookie? Who doesn't like a warm cookie?
In Dogtown, Patrick Clark, News 11.
I do. I want a warm cookie. Aprilette Russell from St. Louis joining us now. Okay, you've got to tell me, have you tried this machine yet or what?
I have not got to the area where the machine is, but I will say that this is so amazing. He took such a simple idea and made it warm and delicious.
It's genius.
To try.
It is genius. Is it kind of like an oven in there? Like, how is he keeping it all warm?
Right, I'm not really for sure, but you know, like the cool part about it is he has 3 different flavors. You have the oatmeal raisin, the chocolate chip, and the pumpkin spice. So if you had to choose, which flavor would you choose?
All of it. I wouldn't even just order one. I would just get all of it all at once, and then I'm not going to share it. What about you? Which one would you try?
I am an oatmeal raisin girl, so give me all of the oatmeal raisins that you can.
Is there a story behind the name? How did he come up with Alibi Cookies?
You know what? I'm not exactly for sure about the story behind the name, but I will tell you that everybody on social media is giving it a thumbs up and they're looking to try this out. So, I mean, it's about to get pretty cold outside, so just having like those warm cookies right at your fingertips, I mean, you can't really get better than that.
It looks really, really popular. I know I definitely try it out, but you know, kudos to him because a lot of business owners are getting creative, you know, during the pandemic, and it's working. I love to see that, and I'm glad that it's the community is all about it. Thanks for bringing that story to us.
Yeah.
I wish you could bring those cookies to us too. Just ship them in, right? Yeah. All right, thanks so much everybody for watching. We're going to see you back here tomorrow on a Finally Friday. Yes, we finally made it to the weekend. We will see you here tomorrow.